All right, everybody, this is the Fantasy Sports Boss with another podcast for you. Didn't do a live show tonight. Got a lot of stuff going on with the high school football team that I coach. So as I'm driving en route to a 7-on-7 that I have later on today, I figured I would jump on and discuss some things that are on my mind. And again, if you're new to the show, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button as well, so you're made aware when new videos are posted or when new live shows are added as well. I'm going to do a Football Friday on Friday, so make sure you tune in for that. But wanted to talk about a couple of things today. I started to touch on it yesterday. Well, not really started to. I've been talking about this for a while now. Just further cementing the fact about how wide receivers need to be the priority in the first few rounds of your draft, and how there is in my view, no running back dead zone this season, where there's just a slew of underrated backs who are going, much cheaper than they should. Multiple examples of guys that you can get in the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, where they can be very good starting caliber runners. David Montgomery, Isaiah Pacheco, Rachaad White, Aaron Jones, just to name a few. Travis Etienne is going in the 3rd round. Breece Hall is going in the 3rd round. So there's a lot of guys that really just are going cheaper than they should. And I really think it makes it even more of a good idea to draft your wide receivers early, and then scoop up the running backs a little bit later on. And heck, even maybe take your quarterback, your dual threat quarterback, which we've talked about how important that is for 2023 fantasy football. So again, not a major shift. This is a shift that's been happening, over the last couple of years in terms of wide receivers gaining more prominence. I talked about how Antonio Brown was the guy who kind of changed the mode of how this worked, and in terms of drafting wide receivers first, and now it's Justin Jefferson who's now taken that mantle and literally run with it in terms of the number one player in all drafts, whether it's standard or PPR. So so that's something that I'm certainly going to do in all my drafts this year. Wide receiver to begin, or tight end, Travis Kelce, wide receiver next round. And then the other aspect too is the quarterback situation. I mean, we have definitely seen a shift there as well. It used to be, do not draft a quarterback early for in your summer draft. I mean, the idea was always, okay, well, I'm talking about single quarterback leagues, not Superflex. In single quarterback leagues, you wanted to draft your quarterback later. I mean, thinking back over the years, Tony Romo, Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan during his heyday with the Atlanta Falcons, these are all guys who were really good, impactful mid-round quarterbacks who were quarterback ones for the price of a mid-round draft choice. But now, over the last 5 years, I believe 12 of the 18 highest scoring quarterback seasons ever have been in the last 5 years. Whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's Lamar Jackson, whether it's obviously Patrick Mahomes, any of those guys, 12 of the 18 highest scoring quarterback seasons ever have come in the last 5 seasons. So, and going back to last season, I spoke to you all about the absolute need to make sure you get one of these dual threat guys, okay? And in my opinion, after the top 10 quarterbacks are off the board, there's a decent drop. All right, obviously the top tier is Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen in various different orders. All right, then your next group, the next 2, is Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. And then, so that's your top 5. Then your next 5, Justin Fields is pretty much the number 6 guy in most leagues, or number 5. And then after that, you have Justin Herbert. You have Justin Herbert with, Trevor Lawrence in that grouping, as the next guy's off the board. And I spoke yesterday in the live stream about how Trevor Lawrence has a really, really, really good, enticing fantasy football playoff slate where all 3 of his games are going to be in Florida. So climate control, and I mean, yes, it could rain, no doubt about it, but you're not talking about the snow. You're not talking about the wind like you would see in Buffalo with Josh Allen. So Trevor Lawrence, whereas Justin Herbert, his playoff schedule looks a little bit more dicey. Trevor Lawrence would be the guy that I would certainly target over Justin Herbert. So again, you need to get one of those quarterbacks that I just mentioned. All right, you need to get one of those guys. All right, and Deshaun Watson is in there too. I think he's going to have a comeback season. If Daniel Jones is on the top, or right there in that top 12, I think Dak Prescott with the change in calling the plays to Mike McCarthy, who favors the run and was knocked for not having an imaginative offense in Green Bay. I think that's bad news for Dak Prescott. I'd shy away from Dak this season. And so Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't run anymore. How much is he going to buy into the Jets? We don't know that either. So I'd be a little leery about him as well. So those are the guys. Geno Smith, some people think he won't do it again. His price is still very affordable. I certainly would look at Geno Smith again as well. So these are the changes in the wide receivers and the dual threat quarterbacks. Those are the biggest changes in fantasy football this season, for sure. Now, the other thing I was thinking about today was the Atlanta Falcons. This team is chock full of high-end, top-tier talent. You got Kyle Pitts, a tight end, generational talent. You have Drake London, has wide receiver 1 talent. You have Bijan Robinson, arguably the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. You even have Tyler Algier, who was quietly really good as a rookie 5th-round draft pick last season. So you have a lot of weapons on this team, but the elephant in the room, of course, is the very run-leaning tendencies of Arthur Smith. And so would I love to have Bijan Robinson? Yes. Do I want to spend a first-round pick on him? I maybe, but if in terms of Kyle Pitts and Drake London, I cannot get into bed with either one of those guys with Arthur Smith calling the plays. They're just simply not going to throw it enough. That's the issue. So I think that it's a major risk to have either one of those guys. Kyle Pitts is still going in the 4th round, 4th, 5th round area. Again, classic case of loving the talent, not loving the setup. Drake London, same thing. He's more Cortland Sutton contested catch guy than he is a burner. But did some really good stuff last season as a rookie. So, listen, there's a lot of things about the Atlanta Falcons on paper you love, but you just hate the fact that Arthur Smith is calling the plays, and that has me fading everybody there. The other thing is that I was getting a lot of questions on with the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver situation. What are we doing with Christian Kirk compared to Calvin Ridley? This is a fascinating debate because Christian Kirk was really good last season, all right? He ran a little hot and cold in the middle of the season after starting out like gangbusters. But in PPR leagues, he was a wide receiver 2. This is a pass-first offense with a coach in Doug Peterson who loves to throw the ball. They have an ascending talent at quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. But Calvin Ridley comes over, and, not that long ago, he was a firm wide receiver 1, major red zone touchdown guy with the Atlanta Falcons before, of course, getting in trouble with the gambling and missing a year and a half. But he's back. He's still in his prime, still a young guy, still in his 20s, has the talent alone to be a wide receiver 1 again. But how much is his presence going to inhibit Christian Kirk? That's the $1 million question when it comes to Christian Kirk. So you could do this one of 2 ways. You could say, okay, Christian Kirk's price has really come down. Calvin Ridley is coming up. Ridley is now sneaking into the 3rd round. Christian Kirk is dropping to the 5th. Kirk is a better value, right? And Kirk very well could catch more passes than Calvin Ridley. That's certainly entirely possible. But I think Ridley's going to catch more touchdown passes. I think that this offense is going to continue to skew heavily to the pass. But they also have Evan Engram there. They also have Zay Jones there. They have, Etienne, who's capable of catching balls out of the backfield. There's a lot of mouths to feed in this Jacksonville offense. So are they going to be able to sustain both Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley? That is an open question that I'm not sure I have the answer to at this point. But, you know, again, I've spoken openly how I love Calvin Ridley. You could get a potential wide receiver 1 for the cost of a 3rd or a 4th round pick. That's how you win in fantasy football, when you draft these guys that can ascend to a higher value than what they were drafted as. So Ridley's being drafted as a wide receiver 2. He could very well be a wide receiver 1 in this Trevor Lawrence Jacksonville Jaguars offense. So that's something that we have to keep in mind when it comes to taking into account both players' draft slots. So, you know, like I said, I'm still in on Calvin Ridley. I like him a lot. He's one of my quote-unquote my guys. Kirk was a guy targeted last season. You know, would I take Kirk again this season? Of course. I want as many Jacksonville Jaguars as I can. You know, I think Zay Jones will be the one that will be left behind. I do think, and I did a separate video on this, I do think Evan Engram is going to be squeezed a little bit. I don't think he's going to replicate last season's numbers. So that anybody interested in Evan Engram has to contend with that. But I think this offense is incredible. I love Trevor Lawrence. Absolutely love him. I think he's a gem. He's a stud. Underrated runner, 300 plus receiving yards, probably will rush between 4 and 5 touchdowns on the ground to go with 30 through the air, over 4,000 passing yards easy. This guy is a quarterback 1, no doubt about it. So, but anyway, those are some of the things that are popping in my head today I wanted to share with you guys. So again, hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. You know, like I said, when I'm in the car, I like to sometimes jump on and just discuss some of the things that are permeating through my brain. And so that's what I wanted to do today. So again, just make sure that notification bell is tapped, so that way you know when these new videos are added, and we will chat soon. Hopefully tomorrow morning I'll have something up for you guys as well. All right, guys, have a great day. We will talk soon.